want to create conversations in social media, then the content has to be quite engaging. It has to have a bit of shock value. The Johnny Walker was shocking because it was exposing something that we all know, but we're all afraid to talk about, and it's something that we admire. Humor in that sense is another way of eliciting an emotion, and that creates talkability, creates shareability, which is very different from a 30-second ad because you don't share ads. Basically, you share stuff that you have a feeling and things that you feel strongly about. That's the whole primary basis of the strategy of doing Way Movie. So that's why it's part of Social Media Week. So that's how it's tagged. Does that answer? Well, it's kind of academic, but okay. That's what it is.
Any more questions? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You kind of touched on it just then, but how do you measure the success of each of your campaigns?
Do you want the academic answer or the? Okay, I'll give you the academic answer. The academic answer is actually a lot of people look at views, how many people watch it and all that stuff. But that's one level of looking at it. But I also measure actually what I call engagement. So what I believe is if the film is successful in touching a person, right? And I talked about how that is important in terms of getting forwards, right? There's got to be an action. You interact with it. So whether that's forwarding it out, whether that's commenting on it, there must be an action. So I measure that level of engagement because without it, then you know it's not working, right? It's just fake or whatever. But another thing I also actually do is I do brand trackers. There's a lot of sophisticated technology out there where you can measure people who watch this before and after. So Millward Brown and actually a lot of the research agencies have it. So the science is actually there, and I try to balance both the science bit of it and the creative side of it. So, but the academic answer is very simple. If I do a project and I talk with other people, my friends out of the agency, and they're talking about it, it's successful. Very simple.
I can say from my experience, not with Way Dating, but for other projects, marketing projects that we've done on the live, it's when you hear about it from someone you don't know, then that's the definition of my cousin's brother, sister told me about this project or this video. We did a band search, like a band competition a couple of years ago, and I was meeting with a big bank, and like their vice president of marketing was like, oh yeah, I got a forward from my cousin whose sister is in a band or whatever, who asked me to go vote for them in this project. So I'm like, okay, if we've already reached 3 levels away, or yeah, you bump into a guy at the water cooler who's not in your team, who already knows about your project, then that's very intangible, but it's a real sign of success. If it's not someone you told about directly and they know about it, that's actually pretty good.
I usually ask my mom. That's the test.
Yeah, well, by the time your mom knows about it, it must be pretty far, right?
Usually it's like 2 months afterwards.
Okay, any more questions? Yeah, Stephen.
Yeah, so we're talking about the production, the creativity portion, but on the raw delivery portion, I know you guys like doing engagement and share reports for performance afterwards, but how do you see the channel? What specific media are you buying? It looks like you bought, obviously doing the Phoenix campaign, which is not really shareable but raises awareness, but what other locations are you buying? How much are you buying? How's that percentage versus the actual views via share at the end of the day?
Okay, then I think that is, well, it gets, again, this is kind of technical, but I guess the distribution strategy for video, there's actually quite a lot of papers written about this, but the way I simplify it, the way I kind of do it is I kind of divide it through 3 different ways, and and you need all 3 for it to work, okay? So one is just you naturally seed it. You just put it up, on YouTube, but we all know that alone is not enough. The second thing I do is I kind of sometimes get people like alive to get influencers to start talking about it or forward it out. So that's the human layer of it. I also would buy a bit of ads to push it. So so I kind of call it paid media and social media and just natural seeding, all 3. So when you combine all 3 of it together, it starts to build a momentum. So to me, the first 5 days is the most important. And I really want to build that momentum because the internet world, the social media world, it's so fast. If it doesn't hit, it will just sink, right? But once you get to a certain critical I always have this magic number of critical mass that I aim for, which is around 20,000. I need to hit 20,000. So that a rough calculation of 20,000, you think of every person, 20,000 people responding. Each person have 200 fans on their Facebook. So I do a rough calculation of how it's going to spread. So this is my rule of thumb, is I need to get to 20,000 in a certain speed. And if I don't, then I basically either buy media or I just start calling friends to forward it out. But usually when I plan it, it's already, I already plan it in a certain way. Like actually you look at the North Face films that I did, that guy or those people I choose, they already have like a fan base or they have certain talkability amongst them. I think that's also one of the trick I use for Way Movie is find someone, it doesn't have to be famous, but find something or someone with existing talkability. So when you throw that rock, or it's just like adding oil, to a hot pan. You got to find a hot pan because social media is too big, right? So you got to find a place that's hot right now, and then you push it forward. I kind of find it very difficult to do something, when no one is really kind of care about it at all, and you just kind of start it out of nowhere. I think it's almost ridiculous for brands to do it this way these days because social media is too big, I think, for a brand to control.
As far as the influencer side goes, from our side, we do a lot of celebrity social media endorsements, like having them share videos or mentioning products in their Weibo, for example. And because of that, we sort of study the science behind it as well. Like, okay, if I have 1 million fans on Weibo, how many of those will click through to actually watch a video, for example? What's the conversion rates, et cetera? So, that's, I guess part 2 of your 3-part plan is the seeding or the influencer kind of endorsement stuff. You can actually generate, with maybe 3 or 4 endorsers who have enough fans on Weibo, you can actually jumpstart, anything to a couple thousand views just by the math, right? So if I start with 100,000 fans, I'll probably get 1,000 video views. If it's something related to the person, obviously it's even better. The other side of it is the lifespan. So we've developed some analytics we can actually see. So the lifespan of a video, if it's a hit, it can make or break within a couple days. But just a single post from on Weibo from an influencer, it has a lifespan of maybe 6 hours, right? So even in that planning, like whatever I put on my Weibo right now, if I'm going to get 100 comments, 95 of them are going to come in the next, actually probably 70 of them will come in the first hour, and then 25 in the next hour or two, and then within 6 hours, if I haven't got a comment, I'm very unlikely to get another comment after that. So or a forward or any other kind of interaction or a click through to the video. So as far as the seeding part goes, we have some experience in this. You need multiple people seeding with it timed out nicely, and then video, because it's a little bit more engaging, actually will kind of have longer legs. So even if I'm posting a video, it will maybe last 7 or 8 hours or even 1 day. Whereas if I'm posting a photo or just text, if no one looked at it within the first hour, it's very unlikely anyone else is going to look at it again. So that's some of the science behind the seeding part. Okay, any more questions? Yes?
I just wonder about the cultural aspect. Well, now the example you showed us is more focused in mainland China, or most mainland China. But do you think that the same format may be applied in other cultural contexts? Because even in Greater China, Hong Kong and Taiwan definitely have own type of cultural.
Well, I guess yeah. Let's ask maybe Hayward, do you feel like the movies you're making for Hong Kong, yeah, or like a Taiwan way dating, will it work in Hong Kong or will it work in China? What do you think? If you're making something for China, would you make it differently?
I think it don't work because I'm not famous in love. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, but do you think like the type of content?
I don't think that got cultural boundary of it because even the other countries are interested in, just like the Johnny Walker campaign. Actually, it is an international, all known about the situation of China. So they are curious and they will feel what is the content inside, and they do feel impact when they get the message of what is justice. Yeah, there is some moral and ethic standard that's all over the world and is spread everywhere. So it is maybe the background and the cultural content is in China, in mainland China or Hong Kong, but the emotional touch or the moral and ethics standards is just universal, I do think.
My answer is in this video. This is shot in Taiwan for an insurance company. Went global. We even got a letter from Harley Davidson from. But it's a great film. I mean, have you-
为什么活着？
Ads.
为了思念，为了活下去，为了活更长，还是为了离开？
You guys seen this? Yeah. No? You should Google it later. But it's basically for an insurance company. It's a real story about I think 4 or 5 Taiwanese guys over 80 decide to redo their road trip around Taiwan again. These are actors, but it went crazy worldwide. I mean, it spoke about a human truth of, what is really life, how do you be young again, and all these really touching sort of themes, and so it could work.
个台湾人平均年龄81岁，
Isn't there a movie with John Travolta where they did that? Wild Dog.
Yeah, it's a true story. I think they made a movie out of it.
Okay.
But it's a great film. It's
I think there was a Hollywood movie like this though, but a comedy, not as serious.
准备。
Yeah. Average age 86.
This funny thing is actually this bank is in Taiwan, so no one had heard of the bank ever. But it was just forwarded crazy. Actually, after they finished this campaign, strangely, the recall rate of this bank called TC Bank was like I think number 8, and they don't even have a branch in China or globally. So it actually really worked for them.
So in terms of this was a worldwide hit and also in China as well.
Yeah, it's just the global recall of TC Bank, which is like the smallest. It was like the number 20th bank in Taiwan. It's like it's probably like 30 branch or something.
So this was one that Ogilvy helped them with? Okay. So I think we get the idea. And very impressive numbers for a Taiwan bank. That's number 20. Okay. So I guess there are cases definitely where if it's a good enough message and a good enough film, totally works in other areas.
It's a Thai director.